New London, Connecticut. This is Cross Road, site number 3. What you've got is, this is Cross Road. 95 is directly that way. There's a Lowe's about a mile that way. The building is basically comprised of 4 sections. The first section is 40 by 30, and that's currently occupied by Aflac. Then there's what presumably would be your showroom, which starts right about the gutter line and comes back in. Now, before we go inside, just want to there is some outside asphalt work that appears to be needed, and I'll do a quick outside view. This fence line all along here, as you can see, it kind of deteriorates and then it finally stops. They have a 12 by 25 shed. Not sure if that's included. You have 5 overhead doors at 12 by 10 and 4 12 by 12s. Then the lot line goes back quite a bit. All this area would need to be cleaned up, I would think. All the debris. This is the back of the building. Kind of just do a panoramic. Alright, so now kind of walk back into the interior. You also have a couple overhead door areas that you have a 1/2 inch gap on what I'm going to call door number 5. The 3 middle doors, there seems to be a fairly smooth transition. And as you can see on door number 1 here, there is also a kind of a gap. Alright, we'll walk into what I would presume would be your showroom. It's a 40 by 30 rectangle. Decent height. You've got a 10-foot height. You have this little raised, 3-foot raised office that would have to come down. The building is completely sprinkled. It's got a dry system, and that's a problem. The sprinkler heads are low all the way through, including in the warehouse. Another issue is that you have a common doorway with Aflac. That door right there goes into the Aflac office. If you seal it up, the owner has a problem of second exit for the Aflac. The fire marshal probably would require a second exit for them. All the flooring would need to come up. You've got carpeting and tile throughout all this, and some wood floor back there. So all this has to come in. As you come in here, I'm going to call this warehouse area number 1, which is 30 by 55 feet. Again, it's got a very low ceiling height, only about a 10-foot high ceiling. The sprinklers are low, about 9.5 feet usable, so you don't have a lot of usable warehouse space here. There is no ADA bathroom. You basically have 2 bathrooms, one measuring 4 by 3, and then they call this area back here a second bathroom. None of it obviously is ADA. This is a boiler that controls the heat for the warehouse. The electrical system is adequate. One of the other major problems is you have a 1.5 foot drop from warehouse, what I'm calling warehouse area number 1 to warehouse area number 2, and there's a bearing wall that spans all the way across, so opening it up would be problematic to get a ramp in, and obviously the 3.5 foot space is not nearly wide enough. So you would come into what is a 40 by 70 foot warehouse number 2. And again, the ceilings are relatively low until you go into the back part, and then you get into some fairly high ceilings. And this area is 70 feet across that way by 38 feet or 40 feet across. So you have some good storage in the back portion, and this is where the 4 overhead doors are. But even in this area, you can see the sprinkler systems are down around the 13-foot mark. So these walls would have to come down. There's a lot of work. The flooring is in decent shape, but this is not going to be a quick and easy build out, depending on what you want to do. This is also a bearing wall coming across here. You can see the block. Just make sure. There's also a crane lift that runs across the whole part of the building. And that's about it from New London.